Hello, hello, everyone. It is Brenda here for Stamplicity, and welcome to What's Up Wednesday. All right, this evening it is Classic Mouse. All right, with Christmas behind us, our next kind of card making holiday is Valentine's Day. So we just got this collection in, and I thought, what a great way to make some really fun and quick and easy Valentine cards for friends, family, loved ones, and such. All right. So, a bunch of new product we're going to be using and focusing on, but the main focus of this live is going to be the classic mouse love rub-ons. Yes, these are rub-ons from Spellbinders featuring the classic mouse Mickey and Minnie. And this is a two-page rub-on set. All right, so we're going to be making 4 cards this evening using this fabulous set. All right, so the focus is on these rub-ons, but we're going to pair it with some really cool new products from Spellbinders that kind of coordinate nicely with this collection. We're going to be using these guys here, or one of them anyways, but these are the new press and foil plates from Spellbinders. Look at their new packaging. Isn't it lovely? But these are better press or foil plates. And this one here is Classic Mouse Happy Sentiments, which is a really kind of all occasion set. All right, so it's just a great set to have. It coordinates nicely with the classic mouse collection, but it doesn't have to be. All right. Hope your day is filled with magic. Oh, happy day. Hip hip hooray. It's your day. You make me smile. Or just some of the sentiments on there. Playful fonts. Love it. The other one, which I know we will be using for sure on some of these cards, is going to be this one. And this one is the classic mouse love sentiment. So these are really going to coordinate nicely with these rub-ons. Golly, I sure do love you. That one really pertains to Mickey. But the rest of them, are great, just Valentine's sentiments. You've stolen my heart, to the one that makes my heart smile. We make a perfect pair, and you hold the key to my heart. All right, so those are the new Better Press plates that coordinate nicely with those rub-ons. And then this is from Simon Hurley that just got released. And this is you can get the embossing folder separate, but get them both, because the embossing folder is this puffy hearts. It's a 3D one. It is gorgeous, perfect for so many different occasions. Just doesn't have to be Valentine's Day. But it does come with a layered puffy heart stencil. So you're going to emboss and then you're going to stencil, but there's 3 stencils on here, so you can get a real three-toned effect, a real nice three-toned effect on this. So I'm going to show you how to use that. But like I said, it's just not for Valentine's Day. You can definitely use this for wedding. You can use it for anniversaries, birthdays, thinking of you, sending love. So many different applications for this one, and I think it's a really strong 3D embossing. So we're going to pair this all together. Now we're going to bring some old favorites back in from Spellbinders as well. One being, I don't have the name of this one, but I know so many of you have this because we used this in one of our demo events, and then it was on back order forever. And for those that were waiting for this, you waited very patiently, and thank you for that. But it finally came back in stock. So we wanted to show you different ways on how to use this one. Now, this is a cut and emboss postage embossing folder. There's a whole lot of words in that in the product, but it's going to emboss, it's going to cut, it comes with dies. So I'm going to show you different ways of using that as well. All right, so let's get started for this evening. I'm super excited about that. Let me just tidy up a little bit here and we will get started. Okay, so let's just do that stencil one first. I've got things prepped. Now, I will tell you that 2 of the dies that I'll be consistently using in this live is going to be these 2 here, which are this was probably my all-time favorite. And you'll see me using it over and over again in all my classes and events. I love this one. This is the Spellbinders Nested Postage Label and Tag set. So you get this postage edge, and then it alternates with the stitched rectangle. All right, now some of my dies are missing because I have them pulled for tonight's live, but we're going to be using that. And then the other one that was going to be consistently used this evening will be the Spellbinders Essential Arches, an oldie but a goodie. All right, so those are the 2 that I'm going to be using in case you are wondering. All right, so I'm just going to put them to the side and let's get started. I've done some prep work in terms of, cutting my card front. So that's that large postage die, and that's going to fit on an A2 card. All right, so I cut that out of black cardstock. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to no, what am I going to do? I'm going to emboss, die cut. All right, because this has a stitching detail on there, which I really want to be shown, I'm going to be doing things twice on this one. All right, so let me just go ahead. We're going to emboss this piece first with that lovely 3D embossing. Just stay with me on this and you'll understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. And then we're going to go ahead and use that stencil. All right, so puffy hearts. Look how, ooh, I'm so excited, brand new. All right, so I'm going to take my piece of white cardstock and then I am going to just land it right up on the top there. All right, and then I'm going to, actually, I'm going to mist this. All right, let me just get my water bottle here. Okay, I'm going to mist my paper lightly, and I'm just going to do the back. And the reason why I'm just doing the back, normally I would do front and back, is that we're going to be adding ink onto the front. So I don't want, if the water is not dry, I don't want it interfering with my ink. So I'm just going to spray the back. And we're going to put that now into our embossing folder. I'm just going to push it right to the top. This was just a scrap of white cardstock. I'm going to run that through my embossing machine. Now, my die cut machine is to the left here. You're going to hear it, but you won't see it on camera. But trust me, it's here. All right. Get my necessary plate, because it is a 3D embossing folder one. All right, so let's take a look at this beautiful, look how lovely that is. Oh, so lovely. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is before I go and stencil this, I want to die cut my rectangle from it. Yes, it's going to flatten the embossing, but I really want that stitching to really show. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and die cut that. And then I'm going to show you a little trick. Just got to get my right plates here. All right, so there is, the stitching is really noticeable. If I were to do the opposite, it would not show as much. I know. Now, you could leave it like this and use it because it's just flatten that 3D effect. And it's just as nice this way. But I'm going to go ahead and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this back in here and match it up to get that puffy heart effect. Worst part is lining this back up, but I knew it was near the top. So basically what will happen is it will lock in place, as I call it, all right? Those embossed hearts will find their way into the front of this one and just lock, it'll just kind of lock in. So now I can go ahead and put that in. It's going to make them 3D again. All right. And if I pull that now, all right, they're puffed back out. The stitching is just intact again, lovely, and we're good to go. All right, so now we're going to grab those stencils. This I'm really excited about. So I picked some colors that are going to work with Mickey and Minnie, with Classic Mouse. All right, so I have Barn Door Distress Ink. I have black soot. So we've got that black and red. And then we're going to add a little bit of a shimmery ink. And I'm using the color shift from Lisa Horton in Watermelon Spritz. All right. So it's going to go on red. It's going to have it in matte red, and it's going to have a shimmer of purple on top of it. All right. So it's going to be kind of cool. All right. So let's talk about stencils. Each of the stencils will be, where are they? Labeled at the bottom with a number. There we go. Okay, so they'll be embossed with a number. So that's going to be the right way that will follow the um, embossing folder. All right, so this is number 1. So number 1, interesting. All right, hang on. So this, maybe it's this way. Haha. Number 1. There we go. I had my panel upside down. So you're just going to go ahead and figure out where it goes. Now you can use these stencils by itself. All right, so you're going to layer that on. You're going to fit it over top of the hearts, and then we're going to now lightly stencil them. I am going to just tape down my piece of paper so it doesn't move on me. This is the first time I'm using the stencil, so please bear with me. All right, the debut side is just as nice as the emboss side. All right, so that's going to go on like that. I'm going to grab this now, and let's just line that up as best we can. All right, I think we are good. Now I'm going to use my magnets to hold this down. I have some other ones. I don't know where they are. Actually, I'm going to switch these around, I think. Whoop. All right, so this first color, we are going to do the black. All right, so I'm going to grab my Distress Ink Black Soot, and then I have a blending brush. All right, and here we go. So I'm going to start on the stencil, and then very carefully, I'm going to, in rotating motion, hit the hearts. All right, you'll notice I'm going counterclockwise and clockwise, just building up my ink. All right, very light touch. All right, now my paper I used Nina 110 pound. And I am noticing a little cracking in the 3D embossing. It's just because it's such a thick paper. And if I would have wet the front of my panel, it would have avoided that. But because I only did the back, I have a little bit of cracking on my embossing. So for next time, I would go down to an 80-pound paper. And that will help with that. And again, I would just spritz the back of it, but it's just I have a little bit of cracking from the 110 pound. So far so good. I'm going very carefully on this. Very light touch and building up my color. Oh, no, it moved. I knew that was going to happen. All right, as long as I don't go over the rest of them. I knew that magnet at the top is not holding as well as my bottom magnet. So, okay, back on track here. I know I don't have my stencil lined up in the top, but okay, I have the black done. So let's take a look at that. I'll clean up. Ooh, that is awesome. Oh, that is so cool. All right, I'm gonna put that to the side. We're gonna grab number 2 stencil, which is this one here. And let's line this one up. There we go, easy peasy. All right, and this one here we're gonna do in the barn door. So this is the basic Distress Ink in red. And because that magnet was not holding, because it's not even meant to hold stencils, it is for my stamp press. No, it's not even for a stamp press. I don't even know what that's magnet's from. I've been cleaning and I found it. So I just stuck it on my little cart, but that is not a stamp press because it's not. All right, this is not going to move now. All right, we're going to switch to barn door now. And I'm going to grab my red blending brush and let's pick this one up. And same thing, we're just going to go over lightly in clockwise and counterclockwise. Oh, this is turning out so cool. The dimensions on these hearts are pretty cool. They are actually puffy hearts. So well done, Spellbinders, for another fabulous embossing folder. All right, let's just continue on. Wait till we put that metallic. It's just going to make things pretty. Okay. Now, the reason why I go counterclockwise and clockwise is that then you hit every edge of the stencil. All right, going both ways. So it's really important that you do both ways. If you always just drag one way, you're going to get a weird edge. So by going counterclockwise and clockwise, you're going to hit all the edges and you're going to get a real nice finish on your stenciled in area. All right, so red is done. Let's take, oh, look at that. So cool. I'm going to take the tape off of this one and let's get stencil number 3 and let's line that up. And now we're going to do that red metallic. Now the matte or matte finish shimmer inks, which are the color shift inks, they are heavily pigmented. All right, they go on quite strong. So you really want to have a gentle touch with these ones. All right. Oops. I had it all lined up and then I moved it ever so slightly. There we go. Just go. Just do it, Brenda. All right, so I'm going to tape it down again. All right, now this one here, I'm going to show you. If you're not familiar with these ones are pretty cool. So I don't know if the camera is picking up that shimmer in there. There is a shimmer. You can see the color of the ink will be this one in the top left-hand corner. The shimmer that will come out will be in this one here. So it goes on matte. The red will go on matte, but it'll leave a shimmer of purple over top. It is like magic, pure magic. And they're so much fun. There's only 10 colors of these ones. So I'm just going to use a smaller brush. And again, light touch. And now we're going to, and at first it's going to go on kind of weird. All right. But you have to build up your color. All right. And because I went really light with these ones, I can probably go a little bit more. I tapped off quite a lot of ink. I'm worried that it was going to be a little too much. There we go. But you'll get your first layer of ink on and then go over top of it again and get that second layer of ink, and it really then pops that color. These are real, if you've not tried them, they're really unique because of that shimmer. When I hold this up and how the light reflects off it, you're really going to be able to see that shimmer. You'll have like the light will hit it and you'll get kind of these reflective purple qualities. It's so cool. And that's just this one. There's so many different, like I said, there's 10 and they're different kind of color variations. Just really, really fun. And then for those that do better press, these also work really great with the better press. These inks, they press beautifully as well. That one I got a little crazy with my inking because I went a little too much. Same with this one. I'm pressing too much and I got some underneath the stencil. I can see that. So these ones, like I said, they're highly pigmented, so you have to be really careful. So I'm going to pull that off. And we'll wash the stencils in a second. And I'm going to so we've got some different color reds on there now, but let's see if the camera will pick up that shimmer. All right. The light just has to hit it. I can see it on my end, but I don't know. Oh, just a highlight. You can see just a little bit on those lighter red ones. You just get a little shimmer from it. But there is our lovely background. This is where it went underneath my stencil there, but don't worry, that's going to be covered. So very cool. And you wouldn't have to use all the stencils. You could just do one to highlight some of them, or you could do all three or two, or just leave it white as well, which would be just beautiful, especially if you're doing white on white. All right, so that is done. All right, now I'm going to put that to the side. Put my inks away there. And let's go ahead, and I grabbed another piece of white paper, and we're going to build up our little scenery using the or using a rub-on. So let's pull these out. Now I'm going to do my rub-ons first, and then I'm going to die cut it out afterwards. So I think I want to use this one here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just rough cut that out. And I'm just going to stick it in the middle of my card panel here. All right, and then instead of using a rub-on tool or a popsicle stick, I'm just going to run that through my embossing machine. So if you've never seen me do that, this is always mind-blowing for those that have never seen it. So you're going to just put it on your in your die cut machine as you would if you were die cutting. All right. So, oops, this is my bottom here. This will be my top. All right. So we're just going to pretend we are like just doing a die cut. All right. So I'm going to run that through. All right. And just pull that off ever so slowly, just in case nothing came up. But I've really never had a problem with using my die cut machine with the rub-ons. You get perfect all the time. Look at that. Awesome, right? All right. So this is, oh, you know what? I think I'm just going to leave it as that. So now I'm going to take my die. So this is from that postage stamp die that kind of coordinates with the rest of the stuff that I've been using for this card front so far. And I'm going to just place that and center it on there, and we're going to die cut that. Okay. So let's do that. All right, so that is done. And I think we can probably start putting this together now. All right, so all right, we are going to, I'm just wondering if there's another rub-on I can put. No, I'm just going to leave it as is. All right. I'm going to go ahead and adhere my embossed panel to my card front. Just going to put a little bit of extra adhesive in the center because of this texture. All right, and this is just going to frame in, and that is just so much fun. I'm deciding which way I want to go. Where is the one that kind of, I'm going to go this way. So this, I will cover this up. I'm just debating whether or not I should have another black behind there, which I think I want to. So bear with me. I'm going to cut a little black. So here, if I take this one will be the black one that goes one step up. And it's just going to break that kind of pattern a little bit and make it not so busy. Sorry, things are falling down. All right, this piece is going to work perfectly. All right, so I'm going to take my little rub-on now. Look at that. Look how cute that is. Let's attach that. And then we can pop this up. I'm going to put it down in this corner because I'm going to hide my little inky mess that leaked underneath there. I'm going to pop this up and then we'll come back and put a sentiment on it afterwards. All right. So let me grab my foam adhesive. And one card is done. All right, that puffy heart stencil can be used on its own as well. The embossing folder can be used on its own, or you can do it together. That's why I say if you're going to get that embossing folder, get the stencil because it just gives you more ways of using it. All right, so there is that. How fun is that? All right, so we're going to put a sentiment on there in a second, but that is our first card. I'm going to put that to the side and let's move on. All right. Let me just tidy up my brushes here. Okay. All right. Let's do a fun shaped card. This will be a shaped card. So this one here, when I was looking at the color palette of the rub-ons, there is some classic colors of the mouse, but then there is ones that have pinks and such. So I did I found in my scraps, I had this pink and white polka dot paper. I think it was an old 49 and market paper. But I cut that and then I have a pink little um, mat to go on here. And then we're going to do rub-ons on here. So before I die cut it, we're going to do rub-ons. So I thought this heart one would be really, really cute. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I can probably use one of the sentiments from here as well, rather than using a better press one, because there are sentiments. So I'm going to just put this in the center right now. And let's go ahead and use our die cut machine to put that on. And again, we're going to pull that really slow, because if there's a piece that did not see, my ear is not going, then I know I'm going to run it through again. Sometimes that happens. All right, let's see now. Yeah, there we go. It went. Okay, so just pull it back slightly. Oh, her little thumb didn't. Now for something like that, I'm not going to run it through the machine. I'm just going to grab my bone folder. Sometimes that happens. It just didn't get enough pressure. All right, there we go. Beautiful. All right, so there is the little rub-on. How cute is that? Now, I am going to put a sentiment, but first I'm going to die cut my shape. So this way I know how much room I have to do this. So do I want the sentiment on the top? I think so. I think so. So let me, decisions. I might cut off some of their fingers here. All right, I'm going to just go for it. I'm going to commit. Sorry, I'm deciding. I think I want to put the sentiment at the top. I'm trying to center this is because Mickey's ear hangs out of the heart a little bit more than Minnie's. So I just want to make sure I have this as best I can. All right, I'm going to go right there. I am going to tape this down because I'm being so finicky and picky about where and how this is going on. So I'm just going to grab a piece of tape and I'm centering the heart. I better bring that down because it was off there. All right, I think I'm good. We're just going to go for it. All right, let's run that through. All right, so there we go. We have that. I know Minnie's hand is cut off, but this way the heart was centered. Um, just a little detail sometimes. All right, now I got ink at the top of my little arch there, so I'm just going to use my sand eraser. Never fails. I don't know. I haven't even. Oh yeah, I have played with ink. I must have ink somewhere on my hands. All right. Okay, so now let's put a little sentiment on here. Love will keep us together. That might be nice. And I think that will fit nicely. And I'm going to push it over so that that letter G, the little tail from the G, is going to kind of go in where the little dip in the heart is. All right. So let's go ahead and put that on. And again, I'm going to use my die cut machine. All right, so let's pull that off again. We're going to go very carefully. Yeah, that went on beautiful. All right, so there is that. And then because we have a couple of voids there, I did notice that there are some lovely little hearts here in pinks and purples. So I'm going to cut 2, maybe 3. And I'm going to grab my tweezers. All right, so I'm going to put one here. And then I think one up here. And then I think, I don't know, but do we want to do one more before I commit? I want to do the third one, but then I feel like we have a void here, so I'm not sure. Let's just do it, Brenda. Let's just do it. Love will keep us together. I thought maybe there might be something I can put at the bottom, but no. All right. Maybe we'll have to put gems, that's all. All right, this one here, I'm going to overlap the heart. So I'm going to go into kind of mini skirt there. All right, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to run that through. And let's peel these off, the backings. I cut them so short now. This one's stuck. There we go. Okay, super cute. All right, so there is our little panel. And now we're going to put this all together. All right, so this is going to go on there. We're going to pop it onto the polka dot and then onto the black. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, and we're going to pop this up. Let me grab my foam adhesives. And right in the center. And I think I'll probably get some little black gems and finish this off. We'll put a little cluster of 3 there and a little cluster of 2, and I think that's going to solve my problem. So I'll grab my gems now. All right, let's see what I got for black. Black gems, there they are. So these are adhesive backed. Normally I would stick a little bit of glue behind them, but for time purposes, I am just going to take them off and stick. Ooh. Well, I don't think the adhesive went on with that one. All right, we're going to use glue because I just keep on taking them off without the adhesive. Just the way it's going to be. Okay, that now completes that card. So I would make this into a shaped card. Now, to make this into a shaped card, I would cut another of the largest arch in white, score it at the top 1 inch, and then just adhere the 2 together. I'm going to show that in one of the next cards. So, but how fun is that one? So we've got 2 lovely little Valentine's love cards with classic mouse. All right, let's move on. These next ones are going to be using that cut and emboss postage stamp. You all have it. Just another way of using it. So let me get myself organized here and cleaned up a little bit. That there, those need to be washed. My stencils. Let's bring our stencil, rub-ons over, and these are all done. All right, we are good to go. Okay, so we're going to start with the square one. And again, I'm using that postage die set like I did in the first card. And I just found another pattern paper that's going to work with this. So with Classic Mouse, it's Mickey, right? So it's black, it's red, it's white, all right? So yellow, those are the colors that work. So I just went through my stash of scrap papers, pattern papers, and I found this one. Now I just noticed that this is bent, but I think it's straight. So I just cut it the base out of black. Then I did the stitched rectangle from that set, right? This one, the postage label and tag set. I did that. That's going to get sandwiched in there. And then I just measured this out and then just cut a rectangle that's slightly smaller than that one. So we still get that stitching design on there, but now we get that splash of color. All right, so we're going to put them together in a second. On these ones here, we're going to use the postage rectangle on the cut and emboss. So how this works, if you don't have this or don't know, it comes with a die set. All right. So you'll get the die set for the arch as well as the postage, and these will fit in, but you do have to tape them in. So you're going to tape them into the top part. All right. The one that has the side that has the Spellbinders logo on there, you're going to flip that open. That's where you're going to do. You do have to tape them in. It doesn't clip in or anything. You do have to tape it in. There we go. I was like, why is it not fitting? But so I'm just going to grab some low tack tape. This is the tape from Spellbinders. Best tape ever. And I am just going to tape the corners down. Now, when you do this, you don't want to get in the inside. You want to tape the outside of the die down. One is probably enough. I always like to do two. This way it doesn't shift on me. Okay, so we've got that locked in place now. Now I'm going to take my black piece of cardstock. I'm going to now just position it behind that rectangle. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and put this through our die cut machine. Now we treat this as a 3D embossing folder. So whatever sandwich you use for your 3D embossing is what you're going to use to do the stamp and cut. So if you have the universal plate system, it's quite easy. You're just going to have your base plate, and then you're going to use your Spellbinders adapter plate, all right? So I have my base plate here. I'm going to put my embossing folder with the die in there, and then my adapter plate over top. And we're going to run that through. So what it's going to do, it is going to cut and emboss all at the same time. So when I pull this off, all right, I'm going to pull this up to the camera and hopefully you can see is emboss that there. Now, you could actually take the other die cut and tape that in as well to create a frame, but I am just going to cut this rectangle by itself and layer it on. So you can do many ways of doing this. All right, so that is how you do that. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to leave this as is. I have a piece of white cardstock now. We're going to put our rub on here. So going back to our rub-ons, what do we want? Now, I'm going to use my little die cut. This die cut comes with that embossing folder. This is the center piece, all right? So this is going to be the piece there. So this one here, I'm going to use as a reference point to figure out which Mickey and Minnie I want, because not all of them are going to fit. I think I want this black and white one. I think it's super cute. So I'm going to do this one. Scissors. So very carefully, I'm going to, this one here would have been cute as well, but there's no yellow, real yellow in that one. So I'm just going to use the classic black and white. And I'm going to now just center that in there, and I'm going to run that through the die cut machine. I feel like I should have two die cut machines going, one that can be for 3D embossing and one for die cutting. So a lot of switching back and forth on this class. All right. All right. Very carefully, I'm going to remove the backing. Beautiful. All right, and now I can take my little rectangle and I can now put this on. I am going to tape it so it doesn't move. And now I'm going to die cut that. All right, pop that out. Take a look how cute that is. All right, so now this little piece here is going to fit in right in there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. You could use pop dots as well if you wanted to raise it. So I'm just going to frame that in. All right, and let's put the rest of our card together. So like I said, this was just a piece of scrap paper I had, but I like the yellow with the black and white. And then we're going to frame it on the postage. All right. And then this little guy here, I'm going to put at an angle. We're going to pop it up, and then we'll use a better pressed sentiment to finish this off. And then we'll put some gems or pearls to really finish it off. So let me just grab my foam adhesives. And then we're going to do one more card. And we're going to use the arched postage with the rub-ons. All right, so there. I mean, really clean and simple. But we'll put some sentiments on there, don't worry. So there is that one. So that's card number 3. All right, let's move on to card number 4. And this one, we're going to use the arch one on this embossing folder. So this one here, like I said, is going to be, I mentioned before, I was making a shaped card. So this is how you're going to make that shaped card. So it is the arches again. So I cut the largest arch. This is going to be my back of my card. This is going to be my front of our card. All right. So this is the back. I did it in white. And what we're going to do is we're going to score 1 inch from the top. And you can do this with any shape. All right, so I'm going to go 1 inch and score. Then above the score line is where you're going to put your adhesive. So I'm going to use a little bit of tape adhesive. And I'm also going to do a little bit of liquid glue. I do the liquid glue because in case I don't get things lined up properly, it's going to give me that little bit of time before the paper adheres to that double-sided tape. All right, so, and you're just going to put those together. All right, so because I use the glue, and if I didn't get things lined up, I can shimmy it, but I did pretty good. You're going to burnish that. And then you can bend that back piece along the score line, and that becomes our card. Now, I just realized I used a piece of cardstock that has a sticker on the back of it. Oh, it came off nicely. All right, so that becomes our shaped card. I love doing shaped cards. All right, again, I found a piece of pattern paper that would work with Mickey and Minnie. This is a red and white stripe. Again, it was just from my stash. It's very old, but it works. All right, so I'm just gonna adhere that. Look, it's got strawberries and ladybugs on the other side. All right, so I'm gonna frame this in, and that is our card front. Ready to go. Okay. All right. Now we're going to grab a piece of red cardstock, and we are going to now do a frame using the arch this time. So again, we're going to adhere the die cut into the top panel of our embossing folder. And again, I'm going to hold it in with some tape so it does not move. And again, I like to do two areas. And I'm just going to cut a piece of paper that's a little bit smaller. Don't need a whole panel here. All right, and let's run that through. Again, this will be just as a 3D embossing folder. The sandwich will be a 3D embossing folder. And presto. Now you'll notice that I left the rectangle one in there, and that's fine. It's not going to harm. All right. It's stuck in there though. There we go. All right. So we've got our little red arch postage frame now. All right. Now, oh, I think I need a little bit. All right. I'm going to go back. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a black archway in there. I think that red and red is just a little much. So the cool thing about this one, it coordinates nicely with those essential arches. So let me just grab my arches here and figure out which one is the next one up for that one. So not that one. Maybe I do this one. They are a little bit longer, but that's okay because it's just a straight, it's just a straight edge that you can cut, not that one. You can straight cut it off, but the arch is the same. So this one here actually might be great because then I can put my sentiment behind it. So I think I like that one. So let me cut that out of black. All right. Yeah, that's going to look so much better. See, it's not so much, that red and red was a little much. All right, so that's going to go on like so. I'll put my sentiment in this little area. If not, you could just cut that off, but the arch is the same on here, which really makes it nice. All right, so there's that. Now let's do our rub on. So for this one here, I think I'm going to do this little car one. I love the little teal car. So let's take that out. Yeah, that's going to fit nicely. I think Spellbinders actually developed a lot of the smaller rub-ons to fit in these ones. So I'm going to go ahead and use my die cut machine. Beautiful. And then I'm going to take my die now and lay that on top. I'm going to tape it in place, and then we're going to die cut that out. And then we can put this together, and then I'm going to show you the better press really quickly. All right. And there is our little rub on there. Okay, so that's gonna fit on there. Oh, look how cute. I love that teal on the red. Awesome. Okay, let's attach this to the center. Frame that right in. And we're gonna pop this up. And attach this. And then let's work on our better press sentiments now. So again, I'm gonna frame this in. All right, so there is our shaped card. Okay, let me just tidy up a few things here, and then we're going to get into better press. And do our sentiments. I mean, those are really quick and simple cards. Those rub-ons just make it easy. Okay. Better press. Okay, so I'm sure you've seen me do better press millions times. It's just so much fun to use. It's one of my favorite things to do. I am just going to do the classic love or classic mouse love sentiments. All right, what I love about these is that they are one and done, basically. You press it once, you die cut it once, and then you have all the sentiments, which is really, really cool. So I don't think I can get two, or can I get two? That would make me very happy if I can get two on one panel. Looks like I can. All right, so I'm not going to go through all the technicalities of the better press system. So I put my plate on here on the magnetic. I've used the guidelines on here for the A2 panel. The way this has been created, we can get two of these on one. So I am going to do both. Let me just grab a piece of better press paper, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down. I have to find my sticky grid. But for now, we're just going to tape this down. So I'm going to press this twice. So I'm going to press it once, and then I'm going to flip it, my platen around, or my top around, and then we're going to do a second time so we can get two sets of sentiments from one piece of paper. All right, so there's that. And we're going to just do this in black. So I have my black Better Press ink here. And let's go ahead and ink this up. All right, looks like I got it. I'm going to put the top on, and then I'm going to run this through my machine. And there we go. Look how lovely that is. Perfect. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and ink this again. I was a little worried there because I just realized I just set up my new studio and I brought my Vagabond back, which is the electronic die cut machine. I wasn't able to position it in my studio downstairs in an accessible way, but now I do, and I'm like, oh, I've never used it. I know you can, but I've never used my Better Press in the Vagabond myself. I know you can do it. People have, but I had not. So when I went to put it in, I was like, uh-oh, I hope this works. It did. All right. So now I'm just gonna, what I did is, so this one was this way. I'm gonna flip it. So now that's on the bottom, and we're gonna do our second set of sentiments. Yeah, all right. So there we go. And now we can put that to the side. And now let's die cut them out. So your die, or the die, will just layer on. You're just gonna put it right over top. And again, I like to tape this. This way it doesn't move. I've had it moved. Sometimes I, try, but without the tape. But I've had instances where it has moved. I'm just grabbing the tape from my Better Press here. Just need little pieces to hold that, and let's go ahead and die cut that. Now I'm only going to do for one set. I'll do the other set off of there, but now these are just going to pop off, and we have some sentiments, and they're beautiful. All right, so let's go ahead and finish up our cards now. All right, we make the perfect pair. You stole my heart to the one that makes my heart smile. Golly, I sure do love you, and you hold the key to my heart. Oh, these are also great. All right, I think I'm going to do this one. We make the perfect pair, and I'm going to pop this up, and I'm just going to put it at the very base of this here. It's going to cover the seam. It just kind of fit nicely on there. So all right, so there is that. I'm going to finish up with a few gems, I think. But how cute is that? We make the perfect pair. So sweet. All right, this one here, I'm going to use the Golly, I Sure Do Love You. I just think that is appropriate for this one here. Though, I'm not sure where I want to put it. we're going to put it up there. I don't know if I'm absolutely happy with that one, but I think it needs some gems on the panel on the inside, this panel here, but I will figure that out off camera. And again, we'll always post these on our Facebook page. So I am going to offset this to the left. All right, so we have that one there. I can really see the purple now. I don't know if the camera will pick that up. Yeah, you can see it ever so slightly now that it's really dry. We have that one. This one already has a sentiment, so we don't have to do anything on this one. And this one here, to the one that makes my heart smile. I'm going to do that. But you know what? I think we need something down the side here. Let me just see what we got for rub-ons. No, none of that. I'm going to see if I have a little trim or washi tape, and then I'm going to put that there. I think we need a little break in black and white, but I'm going to find that and then a few little gems, and then that one will be done. So that is the new Classic Mouse Love. So much fun, those rub-ons. Makes really quick and simple cards, and just a lot of fun to, incorporate that 3D embossing Stampin' Cut. I think that's really fun. Like I said, Spellbinders makes a point of making sure some of their rub-ons will fit in there, which is awesome. So hopefully you enjoyed tonight's What's Up Wednesday, featuring Classic Mouse Love rub-ons. And again, we'll post the pictures of the finished products on our Facebook page tomorrow morning. And if you have any questions, let me know. Put them in the comments if you haven't been, or send us a direct message. You can find all these products that I used this evening on our website. And for some odd reason, if it does say sold out, contact us. We'll make sure we got you covered. All right. So until then, everyone, have yourself a wonderful, creative day, and we shall talk to you soon. Bye.